Hello, Accidental CEO family. Today, my guest is Courtney Nein. She's a certified coach for Dinner Table Academy. So, any of us who have a business and a family, this was a great resource. She shares her journey of helping families to build their financial competency and create a wealthy money mindset. It was really great to talk to her about how to involve your children on the family's financial decisions and teach them the value of earning and spending money responsibly. This is something I'm sure all of us can benefit from. If you don't have kids now, maybe one day you will, or just for your own self. She has great strategies for you to start working on that financial competency that's going to help you at the end of the day grow your business and become a successful CEO. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Accidental CEO podcast, where we bridge the gap between the creativity you love and the CEO mindset you need. I'm your host, Nada Salvatore, wedding photographer and business educator. Find full show notes and resources at accidentalceopod.com. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome back, everybody, to the Accidental CEO podcast. I'm your host, Nada Salvatore, and today I have Courtney Nein with me. She's a certified coach for the Dinner Table Academy, which helps families by coaching financial competency. So welcome, Courtney.
Thank you so much, Nada. I'm so excited to be here and so excited to be a guest and pour into the community.
Oh, we appreciate you. So share with them a little bit where you are and just kind of what you work with now. And then we're going to backtrack a little bit to how you got there.
Sure. Yeah. So, as you mentioned, I am a financial coach and I help families actually set up a home economy system, building legacy through heritage over inheritance and really working within the family to kind of shift the pendulum from entitlement to empowerment within a whole sort of system that sets up, it uses three different E's. We can dive into that later if you want to, but really like empowering children to be able to take more ownership, add more value, and be a part of a family unit that creates happy, healthy money mindsets.
That's great. I mean, all of us as entrepreneurs have that obligation to make sure that we're building a good structure for our, living our legacy out there and supporting our family. And I think involving our kids into that process is very, very important. It's definitely something that I strive to do with my kids. So I'm excited to dive into that a little bit more. Tell us about your journey. Where did you start? I know you worked in a different industry before, and then you ended up in some financial advisor experience at some point, and then starting, just embracing entrepreneurship. So take us through that journey.
For sure. I feel like my journey is like a roller coaster, up and down, all over. But back in my 20s after college, I graduated and I actually worked in the yachting industry for a little bit, seeing the world and traveling around as a stewardess. And then I came off and I got into at a job fair. I found being a financial advisor. I passed all my tests and I was a financial advisor for about a year. Love finances, love everything about it, but that wasn't the right role for me. I went on, dabbled in a couple other corporate jobs, ended up having my daughter who had open heart surgery early as I was working in the yachting industry in corporate. And that led me into having children and needing health insurance that was going to be strong. That led me into education. And so I went back, got my master's in early education, and I was teaching for 6 years. I did that for a while. And then that was not, as a single mom, I had two little kids under the age of 5, and that led me into network marketing and social selling. And in that industry, became a $1 million earner through that. And all of those combined led me to where I am now, because I feel like what I'm doing now is really a combo of those three and all of the different things that I've learned along the way to be able to turn around. The thing that I've learned the most through the journey is that I want to create my own legacy, and I want to do that by serving others, by adding value, by really making a difference. And I believe that helping kind of all those different realms come together and helping families really understand financial competency and what's not being taught in schools, but is needed in the home. And parents don't know. I mean, parents don't know what to do when they bring home the little newborn, in general. So, yeah, that's kind of the journey and how I ended up here.
What is the main misconception that you find when you start working with families and it comes to educating them on their financial knowledge? Like, what is that you come across very often? You're like, no, that's actually not true.
Actually, most of it right now, I feel like, is that we need to give our kids everything. That we need to get our kids in all the sports, that we need to give our kids, what they want. And it's almost become like a rat race per se of trying to raise the best kids, the best in school, the best in athletics, the best. And meanwhile, we're really overwhelming them and creating even per se child narcissism by doing that. And so I think that it's less about the financial aspect and it's more about really understanding how we can create emotional, physical, and spiritual value with our kids, that and showing them how when they're creating that, that's what they can give to the world. And then that is going to circle back and lead to financial success or lead to financial competency. So it's almost like the financial is the part of it, but it's more having the kids build the self confidence. And that's what we need to do with, instead of saving our kids, creating opportunities for healthy struggle and to find ways to create value that fills them up with self confidence, which, starts the ball rolling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. What are some of the ways that you suggest to your clients to really help the kids go through those struggles in possibly a more safe environment? But like, how do you navigate? How do you help your clients help their kids with that?
Sure. I'll just actually share with you kind of what I mentioned, the three E's. So, in the home economy that I help coach with families, you're setting up a 3E system. So, you're setting up expectations. So, to live under my household, here's what, you're a part of this family. Here's what is expected of you: making the bed, maybe setting the table, coming up with like 5 or 6 different things that your children are expected to do because they are a part of your family. They have the last name, they live in the house, like here's what you're expected. And that's the first E. This is really great to do as a family. Sitting together as a family, coming up to it because you want them to be invested in this and to be a part of the process because then they're going to feel more empowered and really take ownership. So the next is the expenses. So expenses are things that are wants, not needs, or different things that kids are going to be responsible for spending their own money on. And they're going to, so like in my family, some examples are that my kids, if they want concessions at the games or anything like that, that's on them. If they want a special pair of basketball shoes, they want the Nike Airs, not the for I set a limit on, I can find you a good pair at $60. And if you want that $120, like, you're paying the difference. My daughter's 15, so hers is any food when she's out with her friends. And then I have a 7-year-old who he just paid for half of his cavities because I was like, if we have cavities, these are preventative and we can make better choices. So there's a bunch of different expenses that you can go through. And through our whole system, there's a lot of suggested ways. But again, you kind of talk to the kids about these are expenses. And the last E is earning. And that is, you give them so many more opportunities to earn money, which are called gigs. So the earning is happening through gigs, and you set up gigs in the home economy system that they can earn money. So those are going to be different things. Some of them are brain gigs because it's anything that you're kind of adding value. So a brain gig could be reading a nonfiction book and writing a couple sentences about it or sharing about it for 20 minutes. And they get $1 when they do that. Or it could be my son just did our beds. We had to pine straw the beds. So that was a gig that was like an additional gig that they could earn money. My daughter's 15, so she can go babysit. She can earn money in that way. But then around the house, there's lots of opportunities that aren't those expectations, but that they can turn around and help you alleviate all the different chores that have to be done, like maybe the laundry or cleaning the cabinets, cleaning the bathrooms, all sorts of things. And they have these opportunities to earn. So that would be my number one thing that I think really, and there's an app called Gravy Sack that you can download. It's free and it sets it all up for you. It's an amazing tool. It sets it all up for you and they can see what they can potentially earn in a week. and they have their expenses, everything's in there. So that would be my number one. I think that that's the number one game changer.
That's really cool. Yeah, I like the system with the three E's and kind of involving them and understanding, what is an expense and how can you earn and what is the expectations of what you were responsible for as part of the family. So I really like that.
Yeah, and it really, I mean, like you said, it as they realize that, they become like my children's relationships have gotten so much stronger with myself and with each other because you become more of a family unit because you're all working towards these common goals together.
So you mentioned very quickly going from your teaching career to getting to the world of network marketing. How did that come along? Well, how did you run into that, and what helped you decide to kind of switch gears into doing that?
Well, honestly, I feel like I got kind of pushed into a corner. My ex-husband had left when I had a 2.5-year-old and a 2-month-year-old, and literally left, sailed off on a boat, and really didn't come back. I was stuck teaching, and while I loved teaching, I quickly went through my savings. I quickly, I couldn't survive with the two kids, and I was giving my best to other people's kids without any help. So I was a single mom just struggling. I did that for a couple years, and then I was introduced. It was network marketing. My mom kind of encouraged me to look at it from my cousin doing it. And I had been like, no way, like, I can't, I'm not salesy, all these things. But I kind of pushed into a corner to say, this, I might give it a shot because I can't trade time for money. And I can't figure out any other way to do, to earn anything. So I just said, I'll give it a shot. I love the products that I'm using, and I guess I'll just start sharing. And I did, and I continued teaching. But as I saw that it's something that the more I put into it and I was passionate about what I was sharing, the more I would earn. That just kind of snowballed, and I was able to walk away from teaching about a year later and really saw the potential. I knew my own potential, so I probably wouldn't have walked away if I didn't know that. But I believed in myself and was like, I'm going to figure this out. And I did. And so I did that solo for about 8 years.
And you made some pretty big achievements on that. You made it to seven figures. Was there any of the strategies that you use on that you use today with the families or that you share with the families today?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think the strategies, to me, network marketing is an amazing tool to resume build. I've learned so many skills from like speaking on stage to speaking on Zooms to thinking on my feet to dealing with people to I dove into all of the professional and personal development that comes along with almost every opportunity that I've seen. I was like, this is personal development with a paycheck. I'm going to like learn to be better in so many ways. So I think now, yeah, absolutely. And coaching people in leadership development, in how to really like open up and listen to other people have been some of the things that have helped me with coaching families, and having the confidence to start something new. Honestly, like the confidence to like say, well, I might fail. I might not make this, but I'm going to show up and I'm going to try it. And if I don't, then I don't. And I think it's taught me a lot of that, a lot of how to handle rejection, how to handle like, you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but you're going to be some people's, and you just keep showing up. So I think that that's something, even through this and coaching families, a lot of times I find that we're so focused on what other people think. Like if we have the same things that other people have, if our kids go to the schools that other people have, are they in the activity? And we're not really doing what is in our heart. We're doing it because of social norms, social expectations, stuff like that. So it's taught me a lot of that, I would say.
That's great. I mean, there's all skills that we can we can teach others and share for sure. So let's talk about your ability to manage your role as like as a CEO, as a single parent. What advice would you give to somebody maybe who is a single parent trying to pursue their entrepreneur dreams?
Wow. Okay. Yeah. As a single parent, I mean, honestly, I think the biggest piece of advice that I would give is you've got to fill your own bucket first. You've got to like make sure that you are filling up with you first. And that was a really hard, like when I was teaching full time, I was dropping my kids off at a daycare that like I was in tears. They were smoking cigarettes behind the dumpsters, and it wasn't where I wanted them to be. But it was sacrifices that I had to make at the time. And I remember at that point, I got the best advice ever because I love exercise and I love running. And I had a therapist who said, if you spend 15 to 20 minutes each day with your kids and you are very present, you put everything aside, like that's going to be more powerful than spending hours half there, half not there. And that was some of the best advice that I have ever gotten because it gave me permission to go on that run that I wanted and have them, stuck with a babysitter or stuck in daycare a little bit longer and make sure that I carved out that time to be present every single day. So I think that as single parents, again, it's that social like pressure that we feel to be all the things and do all the things when truly like your happiness is going to be the most important gift that you can give to your kids because you being fulfilled is going to show them that you're a priority so that later in life they know that they're a priority, and B, you're going to show up as your best self because they feel it. And with the entrepreneurship, like I have been able to show my kids like, hey, mom can do this, or like anything is possible. And same with the failing, and that it's okay, like healthy struggle is good, like keep on going.
Hey there, are you a creative professional looking to elevate your business and artistic vision? Discover the transformative power of personalized coaching tailored specifically for creatives like you. During the sessions, I dive into the unique challenges and goals for your specific business, especially as a creative entrepreneur. That's very important because what you do, it is special and it is different than everybody else. You're going to break through some mental barriers and cultivate a mindset that really nurtures the creativity and resilience of your business. We're going to enable you to thrive in both your personal and professional life. That is my goal for you. If you're ready to embark in an amazing journey of one-on-one coaching with me, hop over to accidentalceo.co and let's get you to be the CEO that you're meant to be. Yeah, that's awesome. I was just talking to somebody else yesterday. I was a guest on somebody's podcast, and we were talking about just the spending time with your kids and the mom guilt and all that kind of stuff. And, I was telling them at the end of the day, we have this vision in our minds that our kids want us and need us all the time. They might want to spend 10 minutes with you and then they're done and they're ready to go do something else. So, you maybe they don't need you or want you around as much as you think you do. So it's okay to prioritize other things and then divide your time a little bit and get rid of that guilt. That doesn't help you be a better mom at the end of the day. So find ways to block that off your head, get those voices out, and just focus on all the great things you've done so far for your kids.
I love that. That's so true. I mean, the mom guilt is not helping anyone at all. It's like energy wasted 100%. I love that you just said that because that's so true.
So let's talk a little bit more about the Dinner Table Academy. What first attracted you to this concept, and then how do you just tell us a little bit more what it offers, and how does it help address some critical gaps in the family?
I met the founder at a conference where he was speaking, and I was there for my network marketing company, and I met him and just started chatting. I had listened to him on a podcast and I had downloaded the app, but it wasn't working. And I was like, what is this? I thought he was just kind of a representative before he'd gone on stage. And so I met Scott, and Scott, the founder, he also is the author of Value Creation Kid. Highly recommend that book. It's amazing with everything that goes into this. But for me, it was just like a God moment. It was like, whoa, all these stars are aligning. I have zero room on my plate for anything new, but this is like the missing piece of what I want to be able to like bring to everyone. From there, I mean, I feel like I have always been with a huge abundance mindset and a big believer in the more that you serve, the more that you like give to the world, the more that comes back to you. And I think that a lot of the program, it really, it's financial competency, but it's more like healthy money mindset and healthy relationships, shutting down the bank of mom and dad by 18. One of the things that I think is really key and says a lot about just like how to raise up your children in terms of like you should treat them 2 years ahead of where they are and they will rise to the occasion. We're like babying sometimes when really we can be having our kids, if we treat them 2 years older and give them expectations, they will rise. So a lot of it is really character development even more than it is anything about money, but it comes to the more you fill your value bucket, the more character development you can do, the more emotional intelligence you're creating in your children, the more they're going to have success and they're going to make money naturally, right? And then it's also a lot about heritage over inheritance, how to create that. Like a really wealthy family is not wealthy because of money, it's wealthy because of values and because of the relationships and how they treat people, and how, you want your kids to be the ones that everyone wants their kids around. That's what the coaching around it is, and that's what really like lit me up. We have the app, we have a lot of different workshops, and then we have communities that really hone in on different aspects of, each. There's a couple, I believe it's weekly, that there's legacy training, and then there's family foundations training. And so we have communities created around that go through the different curriculums. And that's been one of the biggest benefits. I had done the curriculum and it was really great as a single parent because you don't know who to bounce ideas off of, right? You're like, I need help, or I'm not sure what decision I'm making. And so the communities have been super powerful, and the feedback on those have been great in terms of, I think all of us parenting are just kind of navigating it as we go. And times are changing so much right now. So it's a new world with social media, and the genie's out of the bottle. We got to figure out how to tame it.
I like the concept of really treating your kids like they're a little bit older. I've always done that with my own, and I definitely hear from people all the time how mature they are and how good they are at communicating. I think that's a lot of it is a reflection of how I always spoke, with them talking like they're old enough to understand certain things. I'm going to explain it to them. I'll talk to them like they're grown-ups and just help them like feel important, feel like they understand. And then the more you repeat, they're going to get it, even if they're young enough and they're like, I'm not quite sure what that is. I ask them all the time, do you know what this word means? And they're like, no, I don't. So we explain and talk about not using words that they don't understand. So when I'm speaking to them, and if I'm speaking at too high of a level, they will let me know. They're like, I don't know what that word means. So what does that word mean? Not talking down to them and helping them, step into that role of taking more responsibility. It's definitely a good concept.
Yep, I think that they will rise to the occasion so much. I actually have this fascinating story. I just put an offer on a house like yesterday, and it with my kids in implementing everything that I've learned through dinner table. They were a part of the whole process. So treating them, they were part of the showings. And I had a couple friends be like, they're too excited. Like, don't have them come look at these houses because they're going to be so disappointed. It's not going to be great. They're going to be sad. And I was like, no, it's okay. They need to learn that you don't necessarily get what you first want. And so the process has been fascinating. And it came down to the end. We found our dream house. We're so excited about it. And I put in a really low ball offer, and they were, holding out and going back and kind of countering. And just yesterday, they came back with like a final counter, and it was a difference of $2,500. And my kids had their own little kid meeting and came together and said, Mom, put it down. We will earn it back this summer. Like, we will be responsible for that extra $2,500. We're going to earn it back, but we want that house so bad, and we don't want to wait to see if they like accept or not. And I was like blown away. I was probably going to do it anyways, but now they are so much more invested in this house because they're a part of it. They're never going to forget that. They're excited to like know about the move. And so that's the kind of, and for us as a family, that feels so empowering as a mom to know that this house means something so much more to them as well as me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations. That's
Thank
exciting.
you. Thanks. I mean, fingers crossed with the inspection, but
Yes, yes. So, reflecting on your journey, what would you say to your younger self at the beginning of your career, knowing what you know now?
I think I would just say look more at the big picture. Like, don't get hung up in the little minutia, the day to day, try not to focus on the struggles that come, the challenges that come that you feel, and the opinions of others, I think is another big thing. Like, make this about you and really stick to your own gut. You're gonna have people that don't agree. I forget who said it, but someone said, if you don't have any haters, you're not being loud enough. Like you're not living as strong in your internal passion. And I think that that's true. So I think that I would tell my younger self to really stay the course and listen to your own intuition and just keep going through, like, expect the hard, expect that it's going to happen, and just kind of try to emotionally not get as attached to it, if that makes sense.
So, as somebody who kind of fell into this position accidentally, like a lot of us, I'm sure you went through a lot of ups and downs along the way. And so, what is maybe one failure that you feel like became a big lesson learned for you and that you make sure that you share with everybody now?
Oh my gosh, I have a lot of failures. I think the biggest, gosh, I don't know. I would say, I mean, there's a lot. I got up on stage in front of, Austin City Limits, and I shook like this the entire time, like on a microphone. And I felt like such a failure. And I felt like, I couldn't say, I was reading on the monitors, and I was just so stage fright and so nervous. And it felt like such a failure. But I found afterwards that people came up to me and said, "Oh my gosh, thank you. That was so relatable. Like, I know that I can do that now because I would probably be the same way on the stage." And so I think that, like, sometimes in our biggest, what feel like failures, it's not. It's someone else's success still, or it's someone else saying, like, no, you just, I think that, like, being vulnerable, Brene Brown talks about it a lot, but being vulnerable has been something that has really helped a lot in my journey and just kind of walking through that. But I think that I've also learned now that I don't think of anything as a failure. I'm like, I don't really think of anything. My divorces, my, like, losing a job, any of it is a failure because it's really just a stepping stone to the next level of greatness. And you can't get to the next level of greatness if you're not willing to, like, struggle. And that's how you grow.
What is the biggest change you've seen in your kids since you started implementing all these changes?
The biggest, how they think, for sure. Their whole, like, how they're thinking of different ways that they can create and be, they're coming up with different ways, like, "Hey mom, can this be a gig, like, if I go pick up, like, pine cones, or if I do this?" Or, and they're kind of thinking of that. Or, like, my son wants to start a business cleaning trash cans, and he came up with a business plan and asked for a loan to get, like, the power washer to be able to do it. And so just the way that their minds have shifted from, like, a concrete thinking to more in depth, I don't know, really, like, next level of how can I be entrepreneurial thinking, really? Like, how can I do this? And so I think that that's been the biggest thing. And they're excited and feel really, my 7-year-old had to pay for half of his cavities. And I was like, oh, he's not going to like this. But he was actually very proud when he said to the receptionist, like, okay, that's my half. Like, I'm going to pay that. And he was really proud. And so I think a big shift has been seeing how, as I kind of said before, and you said you treat your kids like this already, how, like, really holding them to a higher standard is what they want and what they need to rise to that standard. And I think that that's been a big takeaway.
Is there a specific age that's recommended you started, going through this process, or really at any age you feel like is a good time to start?
So really with the gigs, probably around 5. There's a quarter system that we coach before that, where you reward good behaviors with a quarter in a jar. And then if they see a toy or something, you assign a quarter to it. Like, if there's a want at the store, or you're working towards a goal that is, it's not necessarily money based, but it's like, okay, that will be 4 quarters or 8 quarters to do this. And so you're starting that thinking early on, but you're also rewarding, like, the good behaviors that are getting them to in habits that, are really good. So they're earning the quarters for, no fits or going to bed on time or things like that. And so you're starting that good character building early. So I think, and that can start really at, like, 2.5, as soon as they can.
What would be your main message to the people listening today that maybe are entrepreneurs and have kids and are trying to like juggle all of that?
I mean, my main message is, keep doing what you're doing and try and fail and go again and just keep growing. Never stop growing. We teach our kids to keep going and to try all these things. And then we as adults stop and we stop. And if you don't feel like you're failing in different ways, you're not doing it, just keep trying and keep doing things. And I think that 15 minutes is a big one. If you have kids and you're trying to do all this stuff, just remember that you've got to fill your own bucket first and you've got to take care of yourself first and really a very focused, very present 15 minutes is more powerful than being with your kids all day and doing all sorts of stuff. And even being there focused all day. Like they're only capable of remembering, these 15, they're smaller amounts and memories and experiences. So be all in on whatever you're doing at that time.
Perfect. So, Courtney, where can people find you if they want to work with you?
Sure. My website is courtney.dinnertable.com. And that's the link that you can find me. There's actually a free community that you can become a part of, and it has the home economy course that you can self learn on your own. And then there's other opportunities for all sorts of workshops. There's opportunities for summits, for in person retreats, stuff like that. So, but that's kind of the hub of it all is courtney.dinnertable.com.
Perfect. We'll make sure to link it on the show notes for you guys. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today and just sharing all these great strategies for all the families out there. So we appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and thanks for having this platform for me to come on and to share. And I just feel like you're pouring into so many people, and that's a selfless thing to be doing. So, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You're very welcome. Thanks, all of you, for spending some time with us today. And I hope to see you guys next week for another episode of the Accidental CEO podcast. Bye. And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Accidental CEO podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us in the world where creativity and business strategy collide. I am Nada Salvatore, thrilled to have shared this time with you. Remember, every episode is a step closer to mastering the art of being an accidental CEO. So don't miss out. Hit subscribe, drop us a sweet review, and spread the word to your creative tribe. Your next big breakthrough could be just one episode away. Join us next time for more insights, laughs, and actionable tips. Keep pushing boundaries, dreaming big, and embracing the beautiful chaos of entrepreneurship. Here's to make magic happen in your business and beyond.